As we already know, the Starminer can provide a really calming experience. The game has calm music, very good soundtracks, and overall the game feels very relaxed. In my personal opinion, it's one of the best games for calm playthrough. Also has a pretty nice learning curve. If there is something I can do to help you understand the game better, I will try to do that here. But before we start, I just want to say a big thanks to you. Thanks to everyone who has been supporting the channel. We are getting really close to the 1000 subscribers, which is a huge milestone for me. If you enjoy these Starminers videos, consider subscribing. It genuinely helps a lot. Now, I've been reading some comments and testing things on stream. So let's go through some tips that might save you a lot of time during your own playthrough. In my opinion, it's one of the best games for calm playthrough. The game also has a pretty nice learning curve. I won't say the game has zero bugs. There are some things that need fixing. A few issues have already been addressed by the recent patches, which arrived very quickly after the early access release. I can think of few things you might encounter while playing, and this video will be exactly about those things. Now, I've read some comments, and some of them came with really nice solutions, tips and hints. I'll be sharing some of those as well, because they might help you with your playthrough. The first tip comes from the comment about the campaign. Near your starting sector, there are a few broken pieces of a massive refinery station drifting a few kilometers apart. If you take a possession of those pieces, one of them contains a lot of resources, while another contains water and people. You can actually sell those people at the beginning and get a nice amount of credits. You generally don't want to keep them once you take over the ship because they will eventually die once the water runs out. Another campaign tip is to explore the solar system. Jump to locations around the Earth and investigate points of interest. You can find a lot of useful things there that can help to jumpstart your campaign. Another tip involves the Tier 1 habitat. As we know, you can click on it and start hiring crew members, but if your ship gets bigger, finding specific modules can become difficult. This is where the overlay becomes really useful. Sometimes you need to locate the specific module or building and can't remember where you placed it. It can be really small. The overlay helps you quickly find what you are looking for. Now, for a few additional community tips. If you are using mining drills, remember that they don't require a crew. It's true that they mine slowly, but you can attach multiple drills to a large asteroid and let the work continue. Then you can transport the resources to your refinery or station through your automation network. There is a special hangar attachment used by larger trading ships. This one is different from the small ships that travel between your stations. Once you unlock the shipyard, you can build a larger trading ships with a dedicated storage for water, metals, and other resources. These ships can move larger quantities of resources across the space and should also be faster. Now let's talk about the issue with the haulers not hauling. This happened to me as well. Haulers appeared to have power issues. Even through my ship itself, I had no power problems. The first thing you should always maybe try is saving and reloading the game, of course. But this cannot solve this particular problem. So if it doesn't work, what you could do? You can try to turn your power grid on and off. The problem will disappear immediately, most likely. The idea actually came from someone in the stream chat, so yeah, thanks for that. Another issue is when your ship starts rotating uncontrollably. I haven't figured out exactly why it happens. We had a few theories. One possibility might be that when you rapidly press some movement and rotation inputs, it might cause some kind of issue. Another possibility is that it happens while mining while close to asteroids. Most of the time, when it happened to me, I was mining and suddenly the ship started spinning. Something else that happened to me was my ship suddenly exploding while mining. At first I was convinced that it was a bug, but now I'm not so sure. There are enemies called the rammers that fly directly into your ship. I thought it is possible that one of them entered through my blind spot in my defenses and hit the middle of the ship, destroyed the critical blocks, and maybe triggered a chain reaction that wiped out the entire ship. There was also a useful tip from the comments regarding the save games. By default, the autosave interval is fairly long, and you only have these 3 autosave slots. When I first started playing, I changed those settings to the lowest possible interval. Later, I realized that the game is slow-paced, and having very frequent autosaves actually made things worse. If something bad happened, I often couldn't go back far enough to recover. Eventually I switched back to the default settings, and that's what I'm still using today. I also create manual saves from time to time. Now, let's talk about combat. I tried to destroy the mothership. It is possible, but I wasn't successfully because I simply didn't have enough firepower. At the moment, I have 8 motherships spawned at my area, and I still haven't dealt with any of them. Most of the time, I focus on placing weapons that have the largest firing arcs and the longest range. Usually that's enough, although blind spots can still exist. Some interesting angled hubs can be useful here. There is another idea I've been thinking about regarding the ship weight. Maybe it becomes more important once your ship gets larger and starts carrying a lot of resources. It might be a good idea to place your heavy storage modules closer to the center of the ship. Just like in the real-world physics. Rotating a ship can become harder if the heaviest components are located far from the center. If the heavy parts are in the middle, you can then place your thrusters further out on the sides. Speaking of thrusters, try using them. I never really used the tier 1 thrusters, but maybe I should start using them in my next playthrough because they seem extremely useful. First, they don't consume much energy while repositioning your ship, which could mean you need fewer solar panels. A single thruster can provide a surprising amount of force. Also, check the thruster settings. Thrusters can be rotated and angled slightly. If your ship drifts upward whenever a thruster activates, you might simply need to adjust its angle a little bit. When it comes to the training, I sometimes had the trouble emptying my storage fast enough. Even if I set a very high amount of resources per trade order, the issue was that my trading ships needed a long time to reach a neutral station where I was selling resources. Building additional hangars can help, but it won't completely solve the problem. One thing that worked for me was creating a multiple trade orders. When the first order is dispatched, the next one can start as well. The thing to remember is that if you set an order to repeat, The next cycle won't begin until all the trading ships have completed their route and reached their destination. That's all, folks. The only thing I'm not so sure is about the mass, placing the heaviest, maybe cargo blocks in the middle. I was testing it a little bit, but it's still like ends up only by the feeling of you move the ship. But yeah, that's all for today, and yeah, thank you for watching, support me if you wanna help me, and see you on the next one.